Hello guys, welcome back to another video on Greatest channel. For my returning subscribers, I am always glad and excited to have you back here again. If you're new here, my name is Greater and I am a Nigerian currently living in Canada as a permanent resident. I share my immigration story and the things I know knowledge about immigrating to Canada based on the research I carry out. Please note that I am not an immigration consultant. Today we shall be talking about the Alberta Nomination Program. Remember, we have had the Ontario Nomination Program, the Saskatchewan Nomination Program, all geared towards getting 600 points that would help boost scores or boost your points as a potential immigrant to Canada. So for the Alberta Immigration Program, let's begin. Remember, I said the other time in the Saskatchewan program that Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories. And these provinces and territories act kind of independently, but they are under the Canadian government. So they all have the different provincial nomination program towards getting newcomers into their provinces and into Canada. Like Ontario, the Alberta government goes into the express entry pool to invite applicants or potential applicants who have occupations or who have certain skills in occupations in demand in the province of Alberta, just to help them meet economic shortages in these areas. So they have 4 streams for individuals or for foreign workers who are living and working in Canada or plan to live and work in Canada. You have the tourism and hospitality stream for people who are living and working in Canada and want to focus on the tourism aspect or tourism sector in Alberta. You have the Alberta Opportunity Stream, which you have the Alberta Opportunity Stream, which is for people who have a job offer from an employer in Canada. You have the Alberta Express Entry Stream, which is where the Alberta government goes into the express entry pool to invite potential applicants for possible nomination. And you have the Rural Renewal Stream, and lastly you have streams for entrepreneurs, for people who want to start businesses, who want to invest in Alberta, my Alberta. Before we continue, guys, please, I would want to use this opportunity to say that for those who are watching my videos or who keep watching my videos and have not yet subscribed, if you're new here, please do not leave without subscribing. It is free. It's just that subscribe button there. You can click on it now. Okay, thank you. Now let's continue. My focus for this video is for people that are outside Canada. They are called uplanders, and they are looking at getting nominated by the Alberta government to settle in Alberta, Canada. For this particular stream, for the government of Alberta, selections or invitations are usually based on more than one factor. It's not like fixed for the Ontario government where it says if you have healthcare, you just go to pick, or maybe like the Saskatchewan where you just apply following the whatever you have to offer them. For the Alberta government, selections can be based on this today or a mixture of these and that tomorrow, and that's what we're going to look into now, guys. So the first factor that they will base selection on, or they might base selection on, would be family connection and primary occupations in demand. So if you have a family member in Canada or in Alberta, residing in Alberta as a citizen or permanent resident. Now, this family member must be a direct family member. You cannot use a cousin, you cannot use a niece or a nephew. It can either be a parent or a sibling that is a Canadian or a permanent resident and is above 18 years of age, 18 years of age and above. So this is a factor as regards family connection that you can use to base your hope on the Alberta Nomination Program. Now, family connection goes hand in hand with occupation in demand. So let's say you have an occupation you are in an occupation that is in demand in Alberta and that they have been drawing repeatedly, and you also have a family member, a close family member in Alberta, that gives you a great chance, guys. That really, if you're the one I'm referring to, that gives you like the upper hand. One thing you should know is that this family member must have lived in Canada for more than a month, and also you'll be required to prove how you are related. Definitely, you've claimed sibling relationship or parent relationship with this person, you should be able to prove how you're related. You will submit legitimate legal documents to prove your relationship with this person. Now, if you're a married person, maybe you as the woman, you are the primary applicant, which is the application for all the, you are the one that created the profile that is looking at getting invitation from Alberta, and your husband and children are the dependent application applicants. They are depending on your application, but it's your husband that has a sibling in Alberta. The best thing to do is for your husband to become the primary applicant, because it's only the primary applicant that can claim a sibling relationship. You as the in-law cannot claim that relationship even though you're an in-law to that person. So you would now have to go back to make your husband the primary applicant. Another pathway we have for the Alberta nomination program is the dedicated healthcare pathway. For this one, you're required to have a job offer from an employer in Alberta. And when you have that, it will be easy for you to apply. And they have certain healthcare jobs that qualify for this pathway. Then they also have the accelerated tech pathway. You are also required to have a job offer from an Alberta employer. The next one would be the priority sectors pathway, which you have the agriculture, construction, tourism, and hospitality. Now, for this one, sometimes they base the draw or the invitation on having a job offer. Other times, it is not based on having a job offer. You can be in the agricultural sector, the construction sector, and you have what is required, then you can be drawn. We have seen people who didn't have like a family connection or even a job offer. They got invitation to apply by they were invited to apply by the Alberta government to for a possible nomination. Now, guys, let's look at all the requirements. If, of course, the very most important thing is that you must have an express entry profile. Guys, like I always say, most of these majority of these provincial nomination programs are linked to the federal government, because everything still goes through the federal government. So you must have an express entry profile, like an existing express entry profile. And for Alberta, your profile, your express entry profile must have more than 5 months before expiration, because an express entry profile has 1 year validity. So if in the space of you created it today and 1 year after on this exact date you have not gotten invitation to apply, your application has not moved forward, and you've been in that profile in that pool, your profile will expire and you'll be required to create another. You can always create another. It is free. You don't pay to create another profile as long as you have your IELTS, your best evaluation, and the necessary things you need to create a profile. If you have not watched my video on how to start this express entry program, please just go check my video section. I have a playlist where I put all the immigration videos, and there you would find it to know, because once you understand that part, you will understand this part. So for the Alberta government program, your profile must have more than 5 months to go. Unlike Ontario, that transfers nomination. Remember in the Ontario video, I mentioned that maybe if your profile expires and you have not gotten invitation to apply from the federal government, but you have gotten your 600 points and a nomination letter from the Ontario government, you create a new profile, you write to them, the entire government would transfer your nomination and your 600 points to the new profile. But with the Alberta government, they don't do transfer. So if after they've given you the nomination, the 600 points, you stayed though there was no draw done by the federal government and it now expired after, because once your profile expires, your points expires. That is why it's required that potential applicants or potential candidates that are looking at applying to the Alberta government or are looking at getting an expression of interest from the Alberta government, they must have like almost like a brand new profile, express entry profile. So you would see people cancel their profile if it's like 6 months old to create another one just because they want it to be new and they are hoping for expression of interest or for an invitation from the Alberta government. The next one will be having an occupation in demand. Like guys, as usual, I'll be leaving the site to the Alberta Government Provincial Nomination Program. There you get to see their occupations in demand and you see if it matches with what you currently do. The next requirement will be that you intend, which is very important, you intend to live and work in my dear Alberta. The next requirement, guys, which is very good, would be that you would have a minimum of 300 points or 300 as your score in the express entry poll. But for the Alberta government, once you have a minimum of 300 points in the express entry poll, that and you have other factors or other selection factors, guys, that one is good. So imagine now that the scores, the general express entry program scores are very high in the 500s and you have 300, you have other things that the Alberta government wants, that this gives you a really good edge because the points for being considered by the Alberta government amidst other factors, selection factors you might have is very low, just 300, guys. Another requirement would be that your occupation is not in the ineligible occupation list. So the Alberta government also have a list of ineligible occupations. You need to ensure that the occupation you want to base your application on is not part of the ineligible occupations. Period. Then on to the next requirement, you must not be a refugee claimant. So you can either be outside of Canada, but you mustn't, maybe if you're in Canada, you mustn't be a refugee. This also applies to even the Saskatchewan program and also other pathways in the Alberta nomination program. You must not be a refugee claimant. Then another, all of these requirements are available on the Alberta government website. And the last one that we're talking about would be work experience. So for the occupation you would want to claim you would want to base your application on, for the occupation you want to base your application on, you must have had at least 6 months of work experience on that in that occupation, 6 months of work experience in that occupation, 40 hours, you must have worked 40 hours a week, and also have references to back up that claim. Yeah, that's very important. So you need to also consider that. Guys, like I would always say, all of this information I share here are based on research that I do and also the little knowledge I have from the time I spent working on my own application, because this is a DIY process. I'm big on DIY because there are lots of information online and I just kept digging and digging and digging deep. I considered all of these provincial nomination programs. I considered the Alberta one, I considered Saskatchewan, applied to Saskatchewan and hoped. I considered Manitoba, I considered New Brunswick. You just need to be strategic, do research. You have to put in the work. More work, more energy, more passion. So now the last stage that we're talking about as regards the Alberta Provincial Nomination Program would be things that would increase your chances of selection. The first thing we'll be talking about would be having an Alberta job offer. Now, if you have a job offer, that's superb. People would say, like I would say that those days I used to think, oh, it's hard getting a job offer, but people do. It's just that you have to put in the work and work out a strategy and see how best you to go about. So getting an Alberta job offer would increase your chance of getting selected or invited by the Alberta government. The next thing would be being a graduate of a Canadian post-secondary institution. Now, it mustn't be a graduate from an Alberta post-secondary school institution. It can be from any other province, but as long as you have a Canadian post-secondary school education and you have like an occupation in demand that is needed in Alberta, this increases your chance of being selected by the Alberta government. The next thing would be, like I've already said, is having a sibling or a parent who is a Canadian or a permanent resident more than 18 years of age. Yeah, that increases your chance of being selected. Another point that increases your chance of being selected, or another advantage, would be French. Having French as your first language increases your chance of being selected by the Alberta government. Cesar, now after you have gotten invited by the government of Alberta, you will have 2 weeks. You would have 2 weeks to respond to that invitation, not to submit your documents. You just have 2 weeks to respond to it and maybe send them something they would request for. And once you have sent that response within 2 weeks, they will now send you the link to send in your application, and then you would have 4 weeks to complete your application. Guys, one good thing or one interesting thing about the Alberta nominee program is the processing time. Unlike other provinces I know that take 1 year, 8 months, 9 months, 6 months, their processing time is 3 months, and sometimes, most times, in 1 month, 2 months, you've already gotten a feedback from them. Thank you for staying with me to the end of this video. That's as much as we can talk on for the Alberta Provincial Nomination Program. Please do not forget to subscribe before you set out. If you've not subscribed, do not also forget to like, just to help with YouTube algorithm, and to share to as many people who are on this journey. I want to give a quick shout out to the father of one lady who I've not met here. She's in Edmonton, Canada. She came after me. We got to know because her father told her about me. Apparently, he stumbled on my videos and he has been watching my videos, and he talked to her about me, and she reached out to me, and we have been communicating on WhatsApp, and hopefully we get to meet one of these days. She also watches my videos like she told me. Shout out to you, sir. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate you. I don't know if you will get to watch this video, and bye bye guys, till next time. Thank you.